Welcome to Full Circle. I'm Emily Williamson, and we're here to talk about economic health. And today I have Josh Burks with the Economic Health Office, Director of the office, with me. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you.
And I have Sana Kendall, who's our Policy and Project Manager for the Economic Health Office. Welcome, Sana.
Thank you.
And so we're here to talk about a couple things. One is a Business Appreciation Breakfast. Tell us a little bit about that, Sana, what that is and how you work with businesses at the city.
Yeah, we started the Business Appreciation Breakfast. This will be our third year. And it's just really our way as a city to say thank you to all those that do business in Fort Collins. We do a lot in regards to support of business, whether it's just helping them find resources within the community, whether it's connecting them to Front Range Community College, Colorado State University. But we also do some financial support for such things as Larimer Small Business Development Center to offer free one-on-one consultant for small businesses, as well as Rocky Mountain Inosphere in regards to the incubation process for early stage companies.
Okay, so we're really talking about all ends of the spectrum here. So the Business Appreciation Breakfast is May 27th, and how do people sign up if they want to go to that?
If they're interested in coming to Business Appreciation Breakfast, we'd love to host them at the Marriott on Wednesday, May 27th from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. And you could do that on the website at www.fcgov.com/business.
Okay, great. And last year we had some 280 people. We're expecting more than 300 this year.
Yes.
So you need to sign up early if you're going to go.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Okay.
We've got a great speaker this year. World-renowned John Shallard is going to be speaking about how do you make your business a destination. And John Shallard has been a consultant doing such work for Kellogg's as well as Anheuser-Busch.
Okay, great. That'll be good to see. So, Josh, as Director of Economic Health, talk a little bit about why it's important for the city to work with businesses. Why, and Sana's job is largely in this area of business retention and expansion. And why does the city work with businesses?
Well, I think it goes back to the the fundamental purpose of having an economic health office is for the community to be able to be involved and engaged in shaping the economy that's here in Fort Collins. The primary way we do that is focus on trying to encourage primary jobs. In order to do that, we need to be reaching out to the primary employers that are currently in our community, as well as supporting those that might be looking at relocating. So again, a big part of Sana's job is making sure that we're connecting with those businesses, understanding their needs, and as she suggested, helping move them through either internal city processes or sometimes aiding them in connecting with the state and understanding issues there so that they can, they're able to expand their business and they're able to meet their own business needs. That's good for our community because in order for the city to generate tax revenue, for the community to be stable, you need jobs and the income that comes from it.
Okay, and primary jobs are defined how? How do you define primary
So we
jobs?
define them as any job where the business that is the employer is deriving more than half of their income from outside of the growth management area.
Okay. So some of those employers would include Woodward.
Woodward, Avago, Intel, HP, New Belgium, Odell's. They're exporting their product as well, so their income largely comes from outside the community. We chose that definition because we didn't want to be overly restrictive. Even a lot of consulting companies that have their clientele largely outside of the community would fall into that definition of primary employment. Historically, economists would have focused mostly on manufacturers as primary employers, but as we've moved into the knowledge economy, we've chosen to have a little more less restrictive definitions so we can cast a broader net.
Okay. Sana, so a lot of your work too is with small businesses, and tell us about the importance of small businesses in a community. They make up a lot of our job growth and job base, correct?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the large guys, I think a lot of people just associate primary employment with the Intels, the Hewlett-Packards, but you have the very small man shops as well. The 5 to 10 is kind of that sweet spot, specifically in downtown areas. So Definitely, I think of Propel Labs, doing innovative, real great work here in the community, but a small shop, probably 15, 20 employees. So we are seeing quite a few of those groups coming up too.
I would say the vast majority of the jobs that are available in the community and the businesses are small businesses. They're under 20 employees. And it's also, I know their national statistics suggest that's the area in which most of the job growth is occurring right now. And that's true here in Fort Collins as well. So, again, that's a reason to have a broader definition for primary employers, as well as to not just focus only on meeting with, the big names that everybody can see when they drive around town, but also trying to figure out who's in all of those sort of those office buildings that don't have any names on them, and figure out what they're doing inside, and helping them to be successful as well.
Right, great. So how does supporting entrepreneurs, small businesses, how does that fit into the Economic Health Strategic Plan and the city's overall strategic plan? Who wants to take that?
Well, maybe I'll start and let you jump in, Sana. I think that the city's Economic Health Strategic Plan, again, is trying to figure out how we, interfacing with the rest of the community and other entities that are involved in economic health, really get involved in trying to shape our economy so that that economy that's growing in our community is consistent with our community values, and it's creating the kind of economic activity that leads to long-term vibrancy and resiliency. And so entrepreneurs is, I think, a big piece of that, because that's really where the new small companies and new job opportunity growth comes from. And I think we're blessed as a community because of early success at attracting tech companies like HP when they came here in the 60s and 70s, as well as the fact that we have the land-grant state school here at Colorado State University. Both of those create an environment in which we have a very well-educated population, and a population that is, I think, naturally, as part of its culture, sort of entrepreneurial in nature and wanting to kind of come up with new ideas. And so, that creates an opportunity for new businesses to be formed and then the new jobs to be created. So what we're really trying to do is just tap into that DNA that's already here and help it to grow. And then there are lots of different ways of supporting that. The support that we provide to the Rocky Mountain Innosphere or the Innosphere, the support we provide to the Small Business Development Center are some examples of ways we try to provide support to the entrepreneurial system.
Okay, and I know, Sana, anything to add to that?
No, I think of some of the things that are happening naturally, such as Fort Collins Startup Week, that came out of an idea of many entrepreneurs taking something, and it was kind of boots on the ground in essence, right? They're helping shape and really collaborating on their own, and us saying, how can we assist in regards to that? So we really look at it from all landscapes. Sometimes we don't have to be involved. We like to know what are out there so we can help and assist in that.
So, and I should point out, I'm glad you brought that up, Business Appreciation Breakfast is kind of part of Fort Collins Startup Week,
yes.
That week of May 23rd. And what is Fort Collins Startup Week? Can you talk a little bit about the activities, generally speaking, that'll be happening?
Yeah, the activities is where are the resources, how do we support, and how do we applaud what's already going on in the community? And I think that's a great reason why Fort Collins Startup Week, which is in its second year, collaborated not only with us, but with Blue Ocean Enterprise Challenge. So all three of our organizations have said this is about the community and the entrepreneurial community as a whole, and how do we support and celebrate. I think celebrating the successes of those are really key in regards to that. So Fort Collins Startup Week will have mentoring hours so that those that want to have mentors from those have done the actual startup and have failed or had succeeded. I think failure and success are key to that. And so bringing those people together and celebrating everyone's successes is key.
Okay, and Josh, you were saying that is part of your the Economic Health Strategic Plan,
right,
which is in the middle of an update. Can you talk a little bit about
that?
Yeah,
the first action plan for the Economic Health Office was adopted by City Council in 2005, 2006, led to a lot of success. Things like identifying target industries for the communities were some of the successes from that particular plan. it became apparent back in around 2010-11 that we needed to update it. And we did take an update forward to City Council, which was adopted unanimously in June of 2012. Well, also in 2012, the Economic Health Office became part of the Sustainability Service Area. And so now, 2 years into that relationship with our sibling departments of Social Sustainability and Environmental Services, it's become apparent we need to kind of reflect on our strategic plan for our department and how we interface with the community, and make sure that we're aligning not only with the community's values, the city's strategic plan, but also now this new environment we find ourselves in, where we're trying to reflect the triple bottom line in our strategy. So that's really why we're doing an update now in 2014, only a few years after we had done the 2012 version. And so as a part of that, we've tried to move away from your traditional way of creating a strategic plan, where you really organize it around function and work, and move more into themes to talk about intent and why we do the work we do. And so there are 5 themes in this strategic plan, one of which relates to entrepreneurism. The 5 themes are community prosperity, grow our own, place matters, the climate economy, and think regionally. And so it's really in that grow our own theme that entrepreneurism finds its home. You know, obviously it spills over into many of the other themes. I mean, innovation will be a part of the climate economy and how we address the community's goals around carbon reduction, but growing our own is where most of that occurs. And you know, within that theme, we talk about continuing to support the target industry clusters that were identified all the way back in 2006, and that have continued to grow. We've matured that program. We're talking about, you know, supporting the entrepreneurial culture, which we've already talked a little bit today about through Startup Week, through the Small Business Development Center, through Innisphere, those sorts of things. So that's a big part of the plan, and again, really shows up in that particular theme.
Okay. It's on that. I'm glad Josh brought that up. The industry clusters, that's an area that you're often working with these businesses. What are some of those clusters and some of the interesting things you're doing there?
Yeah, so we've got quite a few clusters here in the community. Colorado Water Innovation Cluster is one, as well as Colorado Clean Energy Cluster. We've got an emerging one right now local, that's really based around local foods and how do we really kind of sustain that here in the area. We've got a mature one in regards to technology, hardware and software. And then we have one called Uniquely Fort Collins, and those are those companies that are headquartered here in Fort Collins that are unique to our area. Spokesbuzz is a great example of that. We're really known for their music and have really changed and really looked at it from how do we now incubate those musicians into becoming viable bands that will make money and bring back to the economy. So, and we're also working with what we're now calling sectors, which are more on a regional basis. So the sectors that we've got currently are in health and wellness, as well as in manufacturing. And so those are really driven by private industry. And again, we are there to support and really let them know that we're there to help in any way possible.
Okay.
I was going to say, I think that supporting role is really the role that I think we're finding is the best role for the city to play when it comes to this entrepreneurial or innovation sort of climate and culture. You know, it's a natural sort of organic existing thing within our community. So we don't want to try to force it, we just want to be there to support it. And so that was why we shifted our funding to a competitive process for the industry clusters, whereas before we used to kind of predetermine and assign it to specific clusters. That competitive process allows for the organic ideas to sort of, you know, rise up from within the community, and then allows for us to be able to support them and help them move on. And as they mature, then maybe they can stand on their own 2 feet, and we can continue to support other ideas that come up.
And you just distributed $175,000.
Correct.
Roughly?
Yeah, 175 to 185,000. I think it went to 10 applicants. We had 11 applicants, 10 received funding, and you know, every year the city, well, at least in this budget cycle of 15 and 16, has given us $200,000 to put out, and so we go through a competitive process for that.
That's great. And Sana, you mentioned the Uniquely Fort Collins What are some of those other, you said Spokesbuzz, would some of the breweries fit into that area? Okay, what is that category really defined as?
You know, the definition that we've put out is really those that are headquartered in Fort Collins that are unique to Fort Collins. But you're seeing a lot of the breweries become outside of Fort Collins as well. And so New Belgium, Odell's, you know, those aspects in regards to those companies, as well as the really small shops again, you know, like I mentioned, Propel Labs, you know, all of those different types that are in that category, as well as we've got bioscience here, and we've got quite a few bioscience, and we're seeing a stronger growth in that area.
And I think another part of the uniquely Fort Collins, right, is it's trying to capture, like Sana said, what's unique to Fort Collins, but it's really that X factor. So when you think about Fort Collins, what do you think about? So obviously, you know, beer comes to mind, but outdoor recreation comes to mind as well. And we're discovering that we actually have a burgeoning little cottage industry in bike manufacturing, and a number of bike manufacturers, highly specialized manufacturers, that are either moving here or have grown up here in Fort Collins. I think Niner Bikes is a perfect example of that. You know, they were in on the ground level of the move to the 29-inch wheel instead of the 27-inch wheel on mountain bikes, and have really, you know, become influential in that particular industry. And they're headquartered here in Fort Collins, and you know, doing a lot of their design and development here. And then, you know, outsourcing their manufacturing, which is not atypical. So we see that happening as well as being an area within that uniquely Fort Collins kind of industry. And then, as Sana alluded to earlier, it's also about arts and culture, from music to, you know, to the visual arts, to even supporting, you know, just our arts and culture activities through, say, the Lincoln Center or things like that as well.
Okay. And just as you're talking about Niner Bikes, Sana, you can talk maybe a little bit about this. The two businesses in Colorado that have been recognized by the state of Colorado in the last couple of years, Niner Bikes and Fort Collins Brewery, correct?
For Colorado Companies to Watch.
Yeah, what is that?
So Colorado Company to Watch is a state event in regards to, they're really looking at the top 50 growth companies in regards to, they have to meet certain financial requirements. They have to be what they call second stage, so earning revenue up to $5 million, as well as some employment numbers as well. What they like to do then is recognize that business for that week. That week is really dedicated to that company in regards to what's unique about that company. It's a Colorado-made company, and how can we support that company in that week. So
it seems pretty impressive to have two companies in as many
definitely.
years, basically, that are in our area join that list, right?
Absolutely.
So we're running out of time here, but talk a little bit about, before I wrap up on both of these, the Economic Health Strategic Plan. People can comment on that.
Absolutely.
You're doing some public engagement on that, getting around to boards and commissions.
Right. We've provided a copy of the draft document to all of the chairs for the boards and the 26, 27 boards and commissions the city has. And we've offered to come and do presentations. We've had several boards take us up on that. Also, anybody that would like to can view the draft online by going to fcgov.com/business, as well as there's an online feedback form there. We are getting ready to bring it back to council, so we ask that people try to have their comments in before May 1st so that we're able to review those comments and put them into the draft that'll go before City Council. Right now, the plan is City Council will consider adopting the plan on June 2nd, which is also a public meeting. If people want to come down and provide comment during public comment, they're welcome to do that as well.
Okay, great. And Sana, people should also go to fcgov.com/business to sign up for the Business Appreciation Breakfast. John Schallert is the speaker,
And I highly recommend also just taking a look at the events that are going on during that entire week. We've got the Blue Ocean Enterprise Challenge, as well as Fort Collins Startup Week. We've got some amazing speakers. The editor-in-chief for Inc. magazine will be out doing the kickoff for Fort Collins Startup Week. So definitely we've tied all of those in together, and you can find it all at fcgov.com/business.
Okay, great. And so Fort Collins Startup Week really starts the 24th?
26th.
The 26th,
Yeah, the Tuesday
okay.
before.
And then Blue Ocean Enterprise Challenge is the Saturday at the end of that week.
So they're actually running the 27th until that Saturday. Collegiate track will be going, so the collegiate competitors will be competing the first 2 days. And then Friday and Saturday will be the enterprise companies. We're also going to be doing a trolley pitch down Mountain Avenue on Friday, so if anyone's interested in seeing what that's all about, they can come out. It's free and open to anybody.
Okay,
The more
great.
noise you make, the better. You want to put those entrepreneurs through a bit of a challenge. That's the whole point of that trolley
Okay.
pitch environment. So
Yeah.
Let's hope they have good weather that day.
Yes.
But that's fun. So, and I should point out too, the city's a sponsor of both Fort Collins Startup Week and the Blue Ocean Enterprise
Yes.
Challenge, in addition to hosting our breakfast that week. So,
Wonderful.
well, I'd like to thank my guests today. Thank you, Josh,
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Thanks, Sana.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next time on Full Circle.